Hello everybody and welcome to the stream. We made a little bit of a leap forward in terms of quality. I don't know if you noticed, but I sure did notice. Shit. Guys, I'm so sorry. I need to absolutely pause this. I have a huge problem at hand. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Um, well, basically you know what's going on with this virus that we cannot name. So basically, my parents are stuck on the other side of the planet, and my sister was giving me an update on the situation via Skype. So sorry for the pause, but things never go the way you want them to go, so we're stuck with that. Now, let's stick to the stream for a moment because it's getting a little bit embarrassing, all the situation. So, what do we do during this stream? I have some updates for you. I have an update on Blame It on the Edit. We sent the counter notification about 2 weeks ago. YouTube said it's fine. So they forwarded it to Viacom, and they have until today to respond to us. So if they do not respond to us, the good news is that the video is going to come back. So it will either come back today or after the weekend on Monday. So this is a huge win, finally. It was time for once, that for once the small guy gets a little bit tiny of a win. So we have that. That's fantastic. Then we published When Fans Go Too Far Part 2. That was heavily censored. The problem with that is that there are some scenes that a lot of people will consider offensive or overtly sexual for some reason, or simply distressing, because what these queens are experiencing during this live show, sometimes it's a little bit hard to take in. So we basically had to cut down and chop down 3 to 5 minutes of the video, because otherwise YouTube would have stepped in and set the video only for mature audiences. And after that, we would have probably received a community strike, because we published that video as a video that was available for everybody, that was watchable for everybody and was aimed at general audiences. So we had to chop it down. The uncut edit is going to come out next week. So I'm going to work on it because I have a little bit more of free time. Now, apart from that, I have a couple new projects going on. I want to make a video, because we always make these videos about when fans go too far. And I thought about, why not make one when queens go too far? The problem is, and listen to this, the problem is when the queens go too far, they go like way too far. They go like the other side of the river too far. So it will never ever be able to stay on YouTube. Even if I censor it, even if I put it only for mature audiences, YouTube will never allow it to stay there. So I'm going to work on that video anyway, because it's fun to do it. But I'm going to publish it on BitChute. So if you don't know, we created a backup channel on BitChute. We put there all the videos that cannot stay on YouTube anymore, because most of the videos that we made, especially in the beginning, we didn't really understand the copyright law. We didn't understand that you cannot ever use copyrighted music. Or if you use copyrighted video, then you have to do it in a very specific way. You have to comment on it, you have to cut on it, you have to do a lot of things with it in order for it to be fair use. And a lot of the first video that we made were basically riding on the edge of the meaning of fair use. So we moved them all to BitChute, including all those videos with lip syncs. For example, I have the how is it called, the script for a video called the Lip Sync Awards of RuPaul's Drag Race, in which we basically have all these awards given for different lip syncs. So you have, for example, like best performance by one contestant, best performance by two contestants, most weird lip sync, and so on. And the point is that when it came out, that there is really nothing that you can do about music on YouTube. We basically had to take the project, put it aside, and say, okay, we're not going to do this. So we are going to do this. Um, Ronald Ruiz says backup channel where? It's on BitChute. I don't know if you know the platform. It's basically an alternative to YouTube. It's not, let's say it clearly, it's not as good as YouTube on many different, from many different perspectives. But at least it's you can enjoy much more freedom than here on the platform. Also because it's a niche platform, BitChute. So there is a lot of trash, but at least we have a place where we can put the videos. That we can say, oh, they are there. If you are looking for a video on our channel and you cannot find it, or if we need to publish something that YouTube is simply too restrictive to publish it on YouTube, it will be on BitChute. Of course, every time we publish something on BitChute, I'll put a comment on the community tab here on YouTube, so that you guys at least know that it's out there. I'll also publish how is it called? I'll tweet. Oh my god, I'm so bad at social media. I'll tweet when we have a new video out on BitChute. So if you follow the channel, or if you follow on Twitter, you will know when a video is coming out. You can also subscribe on BitChute, but we don't do much there. We just park videos that we cannot really have on YouTube anymore. So this is for a new project. Now, we published the chop this week. It went well. It went so and so. I'm happy with it. It was a lot of work. It was like a lot of work compressed, all like in 5 days of edit, do the voiceover, get a microphone, do it again. It was a lot of stuff. So I'm happy with the final result, but I cannot see myself doing this going forward. It's simply too much work. I cannot keep on. And you have to understand what is the real scope of this series, because in the video we say, oh yes, we do this because we are petty. But that's not really the point. We do this because we always wanted to do this. We published a video in December. It was called A Drag Race Rabbit Hole, in which we did exactly what we do during the chop. And we wanted to continue to do it, to start basically calling them out when they have this edits in which they misconstrue everything that it's happening on screen, and nobody can say anything. When you are under contract that you cannot speak, and you have a clause that says, hey, if you do speak, you'll have to pay me $2 million. I don't know if this is in the new contract, but the contract for season 8 has leaked, and the clause was $2 million for the people who speak out. They also specify in the contract that maybe they will not come after you, but that doesn't mean that they will never come after you. So what I think is happening is that when they move to VH1, it's a bigger platform, it's a bigger channel, everything is bigger, and the contract gets even more restrictive. This is what I think is happening. So I think that at least that clause is still there. So if you're basically portrayed as a bitch, and everything you do is misconstrued, and you have the shady noises coming around, Franken sentence here, Franken sentence there, you're basically portrayed in an awful way, and people fall for it. That's the whole point. You have a whole bunch of people that believe that whatever is happening on screen is true, or that at least they have the ability to discern what is true in the edit that they see, and this is just an illusion. Nobody can see past the edit. I will want to make an episode in the future in which I will explain to you exactly what happened during filming. How many cameras are there? How many footage there is? What happened when the show is over? So when they take the 6 months for editing, so that you at least can get an impression on how much work there is exactly behind that, and how difficult it really is to get an impression of who these people are, at least who they are as a person. Because of course you can get an impression of their heart, you can see their makeup, maybe there's a little bit of filtering, but you can get basically a good idea of the ability that they have to make makeup, their taste, all these things. Those you can get, but the rest you cannot really. You have to. I watch the show with the idea that it's fantastic, it's entertaining, but I will never use what I see on the screen as a basis to start to make an opinion about someone, or even tweet to them and say, "Oh, you look like a bitch." No, no, it's a show. It's entertaining. It's entertaining for different reasons to different people. What I find entertaining for me, it's also spot out the bad edits. I find it as extremely fulfilling. It's an integral part of watching the show. Where did they, manipulate it a little bit, used a little bit of editing magic to spin it out. It's part of the fun. You know. So, what changes would I like to make? I don't think there is no need for a recap. I think it's a surplus. You don't really get anything out of it. There are so many recaps around, and the point of this episode is to closely following the show, so that if something happens, we have the ability to call it out immediately. And so the episode is fresh in your mind. You don't really need a recap, and it's more time on our side that we have to spend editing and do other things like that. So another thing, and we have to talk about this. I'm sorry. I'm sure you have been bombarded by everybody about this, and I promise to be as quick and fast as possible. We said that we were going to edit out Sherry Pie from the show. This is also one of the reason why we need to cut down as much as we can, because editing out a person, it's not just a matter of cutting a frame. It's a lot of more work that we cannot really follow through with, if we want to have these episodes out back to back to whenever something really shady happens on the show. So this is one of the other reasons why we are going to cut down, to chop the chop. Now, for what concerns the Sherry situation, since last time we had a stream, she's been disqualified, you know that. Upwards of 30 people have come forward in one way or the other. I want you to be reasonable about this, which means understand exactly what's happening for what it is. Sherry said, "I did something wrong." She didn't say what she did wrong. Now, the fact that you have 30 people coming forward with the same story, it's very, very telling. But if we, from a legal perspective, this is where I want to get. From a legal perspective, I cannot point my finger and say, "You did this." That's the problem. I can say, for me, it's very probable, highly probable that you did this. And the point is that some of these allegations are reporting crimes. So if these people start pushing charges, it's very probable that she will spend some time in prison. And I think that is punishment enough. Okay, because you have people around saying things like, "Oh, you should just kill yourself," and stuff like that. And she didn't kill nobody. What she did was awful, and if she does some prison time for it, I'm very happy about it, and that's punishment enough. So and that's it for the whole situation. If you're not up to date with the situation, and you want someone else that can tell you in a more concise manner and also funnier manner what's actually happening, Bob and Monet did an excellent stream on their podcast. It's called Siblings Rivalry. I'll post you a link. It already has a timestamp so that you can jump immediately to the moment that might interest you, and I'll put it in the chat. There is also an article, an investigative article in which they interview all these people. I'll post the link in the chat for that as well, so that you can have it. And with this said, I hope that we won't have to talk about this person anymore. I don't want to give any more free publicity. I don't want to give it any kind of platform. I don't want to give her anything. So, for what I am concerned, that's it. And we're done. Now, this is all for the updates of the channel. Before we have tonight's episode, let's go to the chart. I prepared a chart with the new confessionals for the new episode. And I want you to take a moment and look at this chart. See if you spot anything different apart from the obvious. The obvious we don't talk about. Apart from that, see if you spot any difference between episode 1 and episode 2. Because when I look at this chart, the first thing that comes to my mind is how come the queens from episode 2 have so many confessionals in which they do nothing but narrating what's happening. You know, I finished episode 2, and the first thought that I had in my mind was like, somehow I prefer the queen from season 1. I don't know why, but I have this sensation like if I had somehow connected more with them at some point. And then I realized once I finished the graph that they basically have no confessionals talking about themselves at all. And that's the thing that gives you the sensation that you are actually establishing a connection. You know, when you have the person during the confessional talking about the way they feel or what they think about someone, it feels intimate. You know, the confessional does this thing, builds intimacy. And it looks like in episode 2 they didn't have any. For the majority of the time, they spent confessionals telling you it's happening this, it's happening that. So this morning we're doing this morning we're doing that. So this is about that. Now, for the confessionals that we have on episode 2, Rock is completely dominating. She is the narrator of the episode. She has lots of positive confessionals, maybe one that are a little bit portrayed in a negative way. And but you know, overall, she is basically the only person on screen. Let's say it how it is. It's all about Rock in this episode. And the problem with this is that she doesn't have a storyline. When all of your insecurities are put out there and resolved during the same episode, you are basically leaving nothing open for the next episode. So what's going to happen to Rock? Will she go through with her, will she overcome her insecurities? Will she explode? Well, no, everything was done and closed in the first episode. Which sends to me a very clear message, because this is the graph that you see. It's exactly the graph of a person that has started her cycle and closed it. That's the problem with it. When you look at Widow, because Widow is the narrator of the first episode, she had a lot of storylines that are not closed. What's going to happen between her, Brita, and Jackie, the ones who antagonized her? Who is going to be the villain out of the three? Will she win? She also won the lip sync. So they are both of them, Rock and Widow. They are both narrators, but they have very different storylines. So what I believe is going to happen is that basically they're sending Rock home very soon, unless something major happens during this episode with with a graph like this. The only thing that I can say is that she's probably going home. It's not nice, but what can you do? I mean, somebody has to go home. Now, let's move on to Jen. Jen is basically the second narrator of the episode. She pops on screen a lot. She has a lot of screen time outside of confessionals, and she has an open storyline. Another thing that I noticed is that they were very self-conscious about Jen. You know, they joke continuously about Jen, only Jen, because you know her name is like a pun on a brand, so they had to edit it out. Basically, they had to go there and tell her, "You are Jen. You don't mention your second name," because they can be sued. You know, so it's only Jen. Now, moving on to Jada. Jada has a pretty average confessional graph, like everybody else from season one, from episode one. She has some negative confessionals. I think it's part of the character. Remember, whenever you have positive and negative confessionals, it means that you are giving the character a shape. Mm? You are giving the character thickness, roundness. I don't know how to describing. You're bringing the characters in 3 dimension. So the fact that you have positive and negative is already telling that they are depicting a picture of the person. Then you have to see in the future how will they evolve the picture. But when I see Jada, for example, and I see that the lip sync was amazing, she's a beautiful queen. She looks like she's portrayed with a little bit of insecurities, but she's also very very sure in what she does, you know. And I see a graph like this. The first thing that I think is she's going to stay longer. She's not going to go home. Not this episode. Not tonight. Hmm? Hello, Kawaii Milk. Welcome. Welcome. Now, moving on. Dahlia. Dahlia has, I think, the least amount of confessionals than anybody. When you look at her confessional, that it's not narration, she has like the tiniest bit of time. I think she has as much as Aiden. The only one scoring worse is Crystal. But of Crystal, we talked about it before. So we already know what's going on with Crystal. Now Dahlia, when you look at Dahlia, they basically portray her as if she's going to be a villain of the season. The point is that it looks like the episode is only saying it to me. They're not showing it to me. I didn't see anything very bitchy about Dahlia. So either she's going to become a bitch very fast because the show needs a villain, and you know that the show needs a villain, or they're going to give her a kick, plain and simple, because she received the edit during the whole episode, was very unflattering. It was concentrating a lot on the things she was not giving rather than the things she was bringing forward. So I don't know about her. Interesting case for Aiden. Aiden doesn't have much confessional time, but you have to make one important consideration about Aiden. She's a bedroom queen, and I'm not saying the term with a dispregiative meaning. It's like it's what you do. You know, you are a queen in your house. You play being a queen, basically. I think there was a contestant from Drag Race UK that was a bedroom queen. Uh, what was her name? She was like one of the first that went home, and she came out and basically said, "Yes, I'm a bedroom queen. I do not perform. I like doing it, and there's nothing wrong with it, you know." But Aiden had this kind of thing of kind of trying to hide it, as if she was somehow, I don't know, ashamed of it for some reason. And then you had whole scaredy cat. Yes, Martin Sanchez, scaredy cat. Good find. Yes. So Aiden had this thing when it was trying like not to say it, you know. It was like, well, we don't have a very diverse scene, but I don't know. I don't know. You know, when I look at Aiden, I had this picture of a giant mirror and Aiden desperately trying to hang on to this fucking mirror, try to not fall out of it. And I felt a little bit sorry, you know. I can understand. If you feel ashamed of something and you have like 5 people pointing on it, it can be a little bit daunting. But what's the purpose of having a queen like this on the show? And you have to keep in mind that when they edit the show, they edit with the public in mind. Which kind of message do we want to send? Which kind of people do we want to reel in? And the show has been on for so long that at this point there are a lot of bedroom queens that are watching. You have to think about that. And the bedroom queens of today will be the drag queen superstar of tomorrow. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but think about Violet Chachki, for example. She watched the show since season 1 came out. So you have also that part of public, and that's why I think that Aiden might not go home first. I'm actually pretty sure that she will not go home first. I have my money that she will go home soon. That is for sure, because there are more experienced people, more talented people, people that have already found their way. Let's say it like this, okay? I don't want to say that Aiden isn't talented. It's just that you develop your talent while you do experience, okay? So that's the point. I think she will stick around, but for like 3-4 episodes, not no more than that, because you have much bigger personalities to showcase. So who's going on? That's the whole point. Who is going on? Well, in episode 1, I told you that I thought Brita was going on, for the reason that I explained to you in episode 1. Now, the point is that episode 2 comes out, and where is the villain in episode 2? There is no villain in episode 2. You have Rock, that's portrayed as a sweetheart, Jen, that it's the long-time narrator, Jada, that it's talented and they try to build a little bit drama about it, Dahlia, that's supposed to be a bitch and she doesn't say any bitchy thing, and Aiden, that we just talked about Aiden, so he's another case altogether. Where is the villain? It's a reality TV. We need a villain. So the tension that's been going on between Jackie, Brita, and Widow, it's probably where they are going to try to look for their villain. They'll poke them. They'll put them in uncomfortable position. They will misconstrue them if it's necessary, but one of the three of them will be the villain. So for this reason, I don't think anymore that Brita is going on first. There is a shortage of villain, and we need one. So I think they're going to keep her around just to see if she can be poked a little bit, lose it a little bit. You know what I mean? So I don't think anyone from episode 1 is going home first. I think that I would put my money on Dahlia and Rock for the 2 reasons that I told you. I think Rock has closed their cycle, her storyline is over, and Dahlia is basically, I think that she was casted to be a bitch, but then she's not being a bitch. That's the problem with it. When you do the casting, another thing that we should probably talk about, when they do the casting for these kind of shows, they already have the prototype of people that they want in. They probably have psychologists in there. They profile people and say, okay, this people has this kind of personality that can clash very well with this other kind of personality, and you won't believe the amount of work that there is behind casting. These people are all there for a reason, and if someone is not following his storyline, that's a problem, because these storylines are already established before and have to be followed, and you cannot change the plan for the whole show because one person decides to not follow into her character. That's the problem with Dahlia. She's not following into her character. So if basically I'll be watching the episode tonight, and if I see her acting like a bitch during the first 30 minutes, then I'll know she'll probably stick around. But that's basically it. And that's it for the speculation section of this episode. Next episode, I would like to talk a little bit about what the storylines are, what the archetypes are, how do they build the show behind the scenes, and the meaning of having everybody fall in line. Because don't forget, we watch this as spectators, and we watch it to be entertaining. On the other side, there are people who create a show that has to be entertaining to us, but also profitable for them. And you know that the worst enemy of profit is unpredictability. That's something that is true for any kind of investment that you're talking about. So you want to have everything pretty predictable. So we're going to see about that. Now, let's go to the comments. We don't have many comments. We have no comments. Fantastic. Jack M, your content is great. Please keep up the good work. Go to another platform such as Dailymotion. We have another backup channel on Dailymotion because in that manner I am compulsive. So I have uploaded video like everywhere. They have to be there. If people want them, they have to find them. So we also have a backup channel on Dailymotion. Don't worry. Jack continues, put a trailer for your vids here and have a link in the description box. Well, Jack, you know what the problem is? I cannot go on the platform called YouTube and make advertisement for a platform called BitChute or called Dailymotion. One thing, if I'm here and I'm talking about it with you, if I say, oh, it's on BitChute, it's on Dailymotion, but if I put a link, that can become a problem in time. So we'll have to see about that. But I will let you know. Don't worry, I will let you know whenever I publish something. I will put it on Twitter. I will put it in the commentary section and so on. So, Robbity Bobbity, I love your bits, but you haven't posting that much, and I know it's because they're getting took down, and that's really sad. My god, I need a bigger screen. And that's really sad actually, but I miss your creativity of videos. Well, Robbity, you have to consider one thing. One thing, and that's the only important thing. We are not paid to do this. So we have to go on with our own life, and then in our free time, we come back here, make videos, and chit chat about the episodes and so on. So it's all relegated to just being a hobby. And when you have videos like, for example, Blame It on the Edit, when you have that section, when you have all the shady noises, you have this section with Latrice and this collection of shady noises that went through 10 episodes with the animation and the counter behind it, that thing alone took about 1 week of free time. So when you put that much care behind the edit, and you do it for like 2 hours a day, you're bound to have one video coming out every month, every 2 months, every 3 months if you just don't want to edit anything at all. So that's also why we don't publish that much, at least the main videos. Now the series is something different because it's low effort in a way. The stream are different because they are, in a way, they are low effort as well, at least from the editing part of the whole thing, because you see it's just images, a little bit of Photoshop here and there, but it's basically just images. You don't have to edit that much. But when you're making videos, it's really time consuming, especially from the kind of things that I like to do. I like to go really hard on it. I start saying, okay, I want to do this thing and I want to do it like this, and this. And then I forget, yes, but you have to go through 20 different episodes, find exactly the clip that you need, and then you have to cut it, you have to put it all together in the video, and that's where you lose the time. Getting the material, you lose a ton of time. So we publish less. We do. That's how this channel is made. I think that everybody that follows the channel and has been following it for a longer time, they know that we basically try to have very high quality videos and have them like once every 2 months, once every 3 months. But at least they are very good videos. When this video come out, what happens is that on average they get 100,000 views without any problems, unless it's very bad. It can happen. I did a video a couple years ago in which I basically put a song from Crazy Ex-Girlfriend into a lip sync from Jinx, and I basically edited the whole lip sync to match their mouth movement to the lyrics of the song, so that it looked like they were really lip sync the song. And then there is this whole back storylines with Jinx having flashbacks and so on. It took like, I don't know, 40 days, 50 days to make that video. It was beautiful. I loved it. People hated it. Nobody liked it. And I was like, oh, it's fantastic. It's so beautiful. And it was awful, but it took a lot of work nonetheless. So Um, it is how it is. Sometimes the thing you do, uh, sometimes people like the thing you do, sometimes you don't like them. I think at the end of the day, you are the one who has to like what you do. Otherwise, what's the motivation to do it? You know, if you hate what you do and it doesn't even pay your bills, you really have a shitty deal. So that's all for tonight. Thank you so much for joining. Next week we'll have When Fans Go Too Far Part 2. I will put it in the comment section of the channel, because when I don't know if YouTube will send notification for a video that it's only for mature audiences. So I don't know if they will send notification. I will write it in the comment section of the channel. I always miss that. What the hell? And I think the chop part 2, the one where we discuss the storylines. Okay, so see you next time, guys. Thank you so much for joining in, and have a good one. Bye bye.